All right, welcome. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on the tech that makes all those modern websites feel so incredibly fast and smooth. We are talking about React and the world of single page applications. And it really all starts with a simple question.
I mean, you know that feeling, right? You're clicking around on a site like Facebook or Netflix, and the content just kind of appears instantly. There are no annoying white screen flashes, no full page reloads. Well, that's not an accident. That is a very specific kind of web architecture at play.
So, here's the game plan for this explainer. We're going to start with the magic behind that seamless experience single page applications, or SPAs for short. Then, we'll introduce React, which is the main tool for building them. We'll look at its unique syntax called JSX, and then break down its absolute core building blocks. We're talking components, props, and state. And finally, we'll see how you can actually start building one of these yourself. Okay, so let's start with the fundamental shift that really changed how we browse the web. It's all about moving past that classic, kind of clunky full-page reload. Think back to, older websites. You'd click a link, and the entire page would go white for a second, and then redraw itself from scratch. That's a multi-page application, or MPA. The new way is the single-page application, or SPA. With an SPA, the whole app loads just one time, and after that, only the little bits of content that need to change actually get updated.
So, an SPA works by, well, dynamically rewriting the page that you're already on. When you click on something, it doesn't have to go back to the server and ask for a whole new HTML file. Nope, it just asks for the little piece of data it needs and then redraws only the relevant parts of the screen. And this leads to a way better user experience. You get zero jarring page reloads because all the data is being fetched quietly in the background. Content just updates dynamically right in front of your eyes, which gives these web apps that really slick, native app kind of feeling. So, how do developers actually build these complex, dynamic applications? Well, that brings us right to our main topic, React. This is the toolkit for building modern user interfaces. At its core, React is what's called a JavaScript library. It was actually created by Facebook to help them manage their own massive, complex user interfaces, and then they made it open source for the rest of us to use. Its entire reason for being is to make building these dynamic, single-page experiences easier and way more organized. Now, to really grasp how React works, I want you to hold on to this one simple idea: digital Legos. Seriously, we are going to come back to this analogy again and again because it just perfectly captures the whole philosophy behind building things with React. Let's move on to our first core concept and see how this all starts to build. To work with React, you need to understand its special syntax, which is this really clever blend of HTML and JavaScript called JSX. What's so interesting here is that JSX basically embraces something that used to be a huge no-no in web development. It lets you mix your presentation, the HTML, directly with your logic, the JavaScript. You can describe what your interface should look like using these familiar HTML-like tags right inside of your code. But there's a catch. JSX has a few simple rules, and this one is probably the most important one to remember. A block of JSX code has to, always, be wrapped in a single top-level element. You can't just return a heading and an image next to each other. They have to live inside some kind of parent container. But what if you don't want to add an extra meaningless container to your web page just to satisfy this rule? Well, React has a really clever solution called a fragment. You can just wrap your code in these empty brackets. It satisfies the rule perfectly without adding any extra junk to the final web page. Pretty neat, right? Okay, now we are getting to the absolute heart of React. These three concepts, components, props, and state, they are the foundation for literally everything you will build. Remember our Lego analogy? Here is where it really clicks. Components are the individual, self-contained, and totally reusable Lego bricks. Your search bar? That's a component. A user profile card? A component. A button? You guessed it, it's a component. You build all these small pieces, and then you assemble them into bigger things. At its simplest, a component is really just a standard JavaScript function. But instead of returning something simple like a number or a string, it returns a piece of the user interface written as JSX. It's like a self-contained little recipe for a part of your screen. And the true magic of components is that they are reusable. You build a component once, and you can use it absolutely everywhere, as many times as you want. Think of it like creating your own custom Lego brick. Once you've designed it, you've basically got an infinite supply to build with.
But what if you want each of those profile images to be different? That's where props come in. If components are the Lego bricks, props are the instructions you pass to them. You can tell one brick to be blue and another one to be red. Props are how you pass data down from a parent component to a child, which makes them dynamic and flexible. But there is a crucial rule here. Props are read-only. A child component can get props and use them, but it must never, ever try to change them. The data flows in one direction only, down. Okay, so props are data that are passed down from a parent, and they're read-only. But what about data that needs to change because of what a user does, like a counter or the text inside a form? For that, we need state. State is a component's own private internal memory. It's like a Lego brick that can remember things and actually change its own color. This table lays out the difference perfectly. Props flow down from a parent to a child, and they are immutable. The child component cannot change them. State, on the other hand, is managed inside the component itself. It is mutable, and you use it to track information that's going to change over time. In modern React, we add this internal memory to our components using a feature they call a hook. The useState hook is the standard way to do this. When you use it, you're basically telling React, hey, I need this component to remember something. And React then gives you a way to both read that information and update it. And whenever you update it, React automatically redraws that part of the screen to show the change. It's fantastic. Okay, we have covered a lot of theory, so let's just briefly touch on how you take all these ideas and turn them into a real running application. The great thing is, the React team has made getting started incredibly simple. There's a tool called Create React App that handles all the complicated setup stuff for you. You just run one command in your terminal, move into the new folder, and run another command to start it up. And that's it. You have a working React app, just like that. So, there we have it. We've gone all the way from that seamless experience of a single-page app down to the Lego-like building blocks of React: components, props, and state. You now understand the core concepts that power so much of the modern web. The only question left is, what are you going to build with them?